With the Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo generation of football coming to an end, and the footballing prince Neymar never quite being able to take up the throne, many believed that surely the player who had the highest chance of being the next face of football was Kylian MBAPPE. He was a World Cup winner at just 18 years old, and today has 424 goals and assists in 389 matches at just 25 years old. Back in 2022, Real Madrid offered as much as €200 million just to sign him. But things are looking a lot different now. If someone had told you back in 2022 that Vinicius Jr. would be performing better than MBAPPE today, you might have thought they were absolutely crazy. However, in the present 2024-25 season, all of that has basically turned into reality. In his current form, MBAPPE looks almost unrecognizable. Even his 6 goals in La Liga so far aren't nearly as impressive as we're used to, especially since half of them have come from penalties. Just recently, we saw Vinicius Jr. nearly win the Ballon d'Or, an award that many already thought MBAPPE would have won a couple of times by now. Vinicius is even outshining him in his current form, with 19 goal contributions in 17 matches compared to MBAPPE's 10 goal contributions in 16 matches. It's undeniable that when you watch him play, there are moments where he doesn't seem like his usual self. Small things, like looking lost, moving awkwardly, getting caught offside, or his overall body language stand out. This is especially glaring when compared to his past performances. Just last season for PSG, MBAPPE had the second most goals and assists across Europe's top 5 leagues, with 58 goal contributions in 48 matches, just a couple shy of beating Harry Kane's 56 goal contributions in 45 matches. Naturally, I know there will be comments about how they played in farmers' leagues, as there are a lot of Bundesliga and League One skeptics out there. But even in the Champions League, MBAPPE had an incredible 9 goal contributions in 12 matches. With such monstrous performances, it's only natural to see why everyone, and especially Real Madrid fans, expected MBAPPE to walk onto the pitch and help Real Madrid win every piece of silverware there was. After all, he joined a Real Madrid squad that not only won the Spanish Super Cup and La Liga title, but was also crowned with the 2023-24 Champions League title. Yet, with a player as good as MBAPPE, Real Madrid are currently 18th in the Champions League table, sitting uncomfortably close to elimination. Meanwhile, in Spain, not only are they second to Barcelona, but they were also recently dismantled by Barca in a crushing 4-0 loss, the worst we've seen from the mighty club in years. Why has Kylian MBAPPE effectively stopped scoring goals and playing his best? Likewise, what the heck is going on at Real Madrid? The easiest and most common explanation for all this can come down to a simple adjustment to a new environment. We see it all the time. Players move to new clubs and new leagues, and more often than not, if they show signs of initial struggles, it almost always takes them a bit of time to adjust and get back to their usual performances. For MBAPPE, this is certainly a huge factor, but it's not as trivial as something like adjusting to new weather, or switching from croissants and espresso for breakfast to something like beans and toast, or what have you. MBAPPE is not only adjusting to a new culture and a new country, but he's also adapting to a completely new position on top of a completely different style of play than he's used to. Spanish football and Spanish clubs play completely differently from French football and French clubs. At PSG, MBAPPE was essentially allowed to operate largely as a free-roaming left winger. Even during the rare times he operated as a forward, he always did so from the left or played much deeper than a typical striker. This gave him the freedom to cut inside, drift wide, exploit space using his pace, or dribble the ball up himself. The biggest problem now is that at Madrid, MBAPPE is forced to play more like a traditional striker, with Vinicius Jr. operating on the left wing and achieving the success he's had over the last few years. Plus his seniority on the squad, supporters want him to stay where he's at, and Carlo Ancelotti is not going to move him. I know you've seen the memes about how Madrid's attack is coming entirely from the left. I mean, just look at it. Of course, the opposition defense has it easy when Madrid's attack is bunched up on one side of the pitch. Why would they even need to focus on the middle when all they need to do is watch Madrid come down the left flank? We all know MBAPPE is a great goal scorer, but he's never been the type to just stay in the middle and poach goals like a typical striker. His greatest strengths are dribbling, cutting inside, or attacking from the left. For Carlo Ancelotti, this creates an incredibly tough decision. Madrid fans love Vinicius Jr., And maybe if Mbappe had joined years ago, he would have garnered more love and preferential treatment at the club, allowing him to play in the position he excels at. However, given the current club dynamics, even if you could argue that Mbappe might excel better at that position than Vinicius Jr., the team simply won't allow it. I think they both have their strengths when attacking down the left. But if you break it down purely to goal-scoring efficiency, I might give Mbappe the edge. That being said, before anyone accuses me of being an Mbappe fanboy or a Vinicius Jr. hater, if you had to choose between the two and see who could better adjust to playing as a striker, I'm sure many managers would prefer Mbappe to try and play as a striker rather than Vinicius Jr. Vinicius on the left and Mbappe up top would undoubtedly be a much better fit than Mbappe as a left winger and Vinicius as a striker. But even though this setup is a better option, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a great option. When you have Mbappe operating like that, challenges arise. It's not surprising how often Mbappe has been getting called offside, because that's probably one of the biggest criticisms of his play so far in Madrid. For instance, that goal he initially scored against Barca would have been a game changer and definitely would have set the tone for the rest of the match. But instead, it was offside. And Madrid just seemed to lose all morale as they proceeded to get absolutely demolished by Barca. The reason he gets caught offside so often is, again, because Mbappe is just so used to coming in from the left, starting his runs from a much deeper position, and doing so very differently than how he's being asked to play now. He's usually not the highest player on the pitch. It's been proven that, for the kind of player he is, Mbappe really needs to touch the ball to play at his best. When he has more space to operate, that's when Mbappe can be the most lethal and effective in breaking down a defense. I've been seeing a lot of people blame Mbappe's ego for Real Madrid's lack of dominance so far, but honestly, at PSG, he could do whatever he wanted. He had a lot of influence in the club, and of course, they catered to his play style. However, I'm not saying that Real Madrid needs to focus on Mbappe succeeding individually rather than the club succeeding. But to pin all the blame on Mbappe is just ridiculous. I haven't seen any reports or instances of Mbappe's behavior or his relationship with management, his teammates, or even his work ethic causing problems. The one thing I almost never see anyone talking about is the current form of La Liga's former player of the season, Jude Bellingham. It's almost as if Mbappe's name is just so big that people pin all the responsibility on him. But Bellingham needs to do more to cater to Madrid's overwhelmingly congested attack. Last season, Toni Kroos was there to space the pitch a lot more. What he did best was provide Madrid with timely through balls for the perfect runs. I'm sure if Kroos were still there, Mbappe, at the very least, wouldn't be caught offside so often. However, he's gone, so Jude really needs to step up in the midfield and find a way to space things more evenly for Vinicius Jr., Mbappe, and Rodrigo. Real Madrid's current issues aren't caused so much by Mbappe's personal struggles, but, in my opinion, are mainly due to a lack of playmaking creativity. I know a lot of people will still pin the blame on Mbappe, but think about it this way. Considering his new position and style of play that he has to adapt to, there's also the added psychological pressure to succeed. We all know Madrid fans can be some of the most critical when it comes to their players. To put it simply, they're hard to impress, but for a club as prestigious as Madrid, that's only to be expected. Mbappe, of all people, knows this very well, especially considering the transfer drama that unfolded a few years back. The expectations are as high as they could possibly be. Mbappe is one of the most anticipated signings in Real Madrid's history, and fans aren't just expecting him to perform well, they want him to be elite. Playing for Real Madrid also involves a tremendous amount of scrutiny from fans, media, pundits, and even content creators. Any mistake or dip in form is magnified and blown out of proportion. The last thing Real Madrid needs is for Mbappe to lose confidence. In fact, the club as a whole must avoid anything that might erode Mbappe's confidence. The only way to help Mbappe, and more importantly, the club itself, reach its full potential is by better utilizing their incredible attacking talent through more creativity in the midfield. Personally, I believe the only player Real Madrid currently has who can really shake things up and unlock their attack is someone like Arda Güler. With such a left flank heavy squad, Arda would be the perfect player to drop on the right side. This move would not only create more chances, but also open up space across the pitch. Carlo Ancelotti, however, has been reluctant to trust younger players. But with Toni Kroos gone, Luka Modric aging, Jude Bellingham not in his best form, and players like Eduardo Camavinga and Federico Valverde never having been natural long-distance playmakers, Madrid must make changes to improve. The way things are going, despite MBAPPE's pretty decent performances, considering his new role and position, people will continue to blindly blame him. Sure, MBAPPE has faced criticism for his attitude with the French national team or for having too much influence at PSG, but so far, his time at Madrid has been drama-free. The Real Madrid squad as a whole needs to reevaluate its style of play and the lineups they use if they truly want both Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe to perform at their best. Let's not forget that Real Madrid's defense is also severely impacted by injuries. Dani Carvajal, who is especially crucial in counterattacks and transitions, could be out until the summer of 25. This makes Real Madrid's defense significantly weaker and leaves them vulnerable to conceding more goals. Their only viable option now is to outscore their opponents, and they certainly have the attacking talent to do so. However, they urgently need to figure out their midfield situation. If they want to score more goals and help Mbappe thrive, their midfielders must step up and create opportunities. Real Madrid's attack has the potential to be the most frightening in the world. But for their goal scorers to succeed, their midfield must operate at the same elite level. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, like, comment, and subscribe for more football insights.